Time, ego, and the patriarchy, evaluating how we organize time and its influence on the way we live. It's time to think critically about the way we organize time, y'all. Why? Because the way the United States is shaping up, it would be in our best interest to start understanding how we got here and how we really need to reverse it. How are we going to do that? Through a little bit of a history lesson on what our current calendar is like and how we can go about doing it differently, uh, better. So keep in mind, there really aren't any new ideas in this world, just ideas you've never heard of. So I'm here to share with you guys my recent findings. After constantly seeing people on social media talk about how the real new year begins after the spring equinox, I would do some digging about why our calendar is organized the way it is. So let's just jump right in and get started. Let me start off by saying our calendar is messy. It's messy, y'all. The reason it's messy boils down to ego, politics, and some questionable math, maybe even a little bit of the patriarchy. A lot of bit of the patriarchy, let's be real. So, the Julian calendar was introduced by Julius Caesar in 45 BCE, a man. And that was one of the first major attempts to standardize time across an empire. So, he basically was like, let's make a calendar that follows the sun, make it pretty simple, 365 days, plus a leap year every 4 years. The problem with that is that he miscalculated the actual length of a solar year. That small mistake added up over centuries throws off dates for seasons, religious holidays, and farming cycles. Like, what was he thinking? He needed to hire somebody to do the math. He shouldn't have did it himself. So let me talk about a solar year. What is a solar year? That's the time it takes the Earth to go around the sun once, which is 365 days. This is why we have seasons, and because Earth tilts changes how much sunlight different parts of the planet get during the year. Every 4 years, we add an extra leap year to help our calendar stay in sync with the solar year. So essentially, just the sun and it going and the Earth rotating around the sun. That and it happens every 365 days. So let's fast forward to the 1500s when a Catholic Pope by the name of Gregory decided to fix Julius's mistake. Gregory was a part of the Catholic Church, and he relied on the calendar to set holy days, which we now call holidays. But thanks to Julius's math fail, things were slowly drifting off track, like I said before. In 1582, Gregory decided to, create this Gregorian calendar, fixing Julius's mistakes. And this is the calendar we use today. This new calendar dropped 10 days to reset everything, adjusted the leap years to be more precise, and now we use this calendar all around the world. There are some people that still don't use it, and I'll explain that more later, because not everybody agrees with things that aren't exactly correct. But anyway, why do we still use the Gregorian calendar? Well, it does do some things well. It keeps us pretty well aligned with the sun, which is important. It's globally accepted. We all like, convenience and to be aligned with each other, in terms of business, travel, and communication. And it did fix Julian's mistake. So there's that. That's all fine and dandy. But the calendar is still a mess. And so what exactly is wrong with it? The months don't make sense. December, November, October are not aligned with what they actually mean. December is 10, but it's the 12th month. Um, July and August were created to like immortalize those people of the time, but they they messed up the whole like organization of the calendar because of it, and nobody cared. Ego, man. Patriarchy in a nutshell. He's like, I want my name. Their name belongs in there. And so you just gonna mess everything up just for the name's sake? That doesn't make any sense. But anyway, so yeah, and the months are uneven. Some have 30, some have 31. February has 28 and sometimes 29. It doesn't have to be that way. And then in my opinion, the biggest error is that it is just solar based. It only acknowledges the sun and it ignores the moon cycles, which humans, especially women and farmers in ancient civilizations, have followed for ages. So let's get into talking about the masculine sun versus the feminine moon. The most fun part of doing this research was discovering how a solar based calendar and a lunar based calendar are different, and how they currently and could potentially influence our daily lives. The Gregorian calendar is solar based, meaning, it follows the sun. Solar based is, or sorry, Solar time is based off of a 24-hour structured linear cycle that's focused on external output, productivity, which many associate with masculine energy. It's all about growth, productivity, measuring time in a linear straight line, very similar to how capitalism works today. Linear systems are rigid, inflexible, and can be very unsustainable. From a personal lens, linear systems have tended to leave people burnt out and mistakes unfixed, which is why we have this calendar today that nobody has thought to fix. But on the other end, many cultures have used lunar calendars, which follow the moon's 28-day cycle, mirroring the menstrual cycle in the ebb and flow of nature. Lunar time is cyclical, intuitive, and fluid, often linked to feminine energy. Instead of a rigid structure, it's all about rhythms, renewal, and connection to nature. So, what's the problem? Shouldn't we just want to work with the lunar system? Well, a purely lunar calendar falls out of sync with the seasons over time, which makes things like farming harder, and we need food, right? That's why most civilizations have merged solar and lunar time together into something that's more balanced. Before we dive into the merge, I want to raise the question and answer it. Why do we even emulate nature? Well, emulating nature helps us live in balance, sustainability, and harmony with the world around us. When we follow natural cycles like seasons, moon phases, and energy rhythms, we work more efficiently with less stress. And as a black woman talking, that's everything that I need. Okay? Nature already has a perfect system. So aligning with it creates flow instead of resistance in our lives. We are nature. Do not resist what is? So let's talk more about this interconnected option, the lunisolar calendar. Instead of choosing only the sun or only the moon, many cultures already use a this is a funny word, lunisolar calendar that blends both. It follows the moon cycles but adjusts with solar shifts to keep seasons in place. The Chinese, Hebrew, and Hindu calendars already use this calendar to set their holidays and religious observances. Indigenous traditions also use the sun and moon for rituals and festivals. The lunisolar calendar is a better, more interconnected solution. It aligns with natural rhythms, including menstrual and agricultural cycles. This means that the female anatomy would be better accommodated for within this capitalistic system we live within, and farmers who have been depending on the lunar cycle for centuries would be acknowledged and also better accommodated. I'm excited to talk more about how being mindful of your menstrual cycle aids in overall productivity and well being as a woman. But that's for another post. Stay tuned. The lunar solar calendar also provides seasonal consistency that the solar year provides while still honoring the moon's influence. This calendar also has, the new year beginning in the spring. The spring is the season of rebirth, planting, and new energy. The spring equinox, which is usually towards the end of March, also marks the time when New Year would begin with spring. This makes a lot more sense than starting the year in the middle of winter when everybody's supposed to be hibernating. It doesn't really make any sense. So, shouldn't we just switch to the lunisolar cycle, lunar solar calendar? It would be pretty cool if we moved to a system that makes more sense. But is it ever really gonna happen? Probably not. That requires a lot of people getting on board. And you know how our world is. You know how our world is. A lot of people just aren't really down for change. We already are trying to get people on the climate action train, and look how that's going. But don't lose hope, because look at it on an individual level. We can start thinking differently about time by tracking your own personal cycles and seasonal cycles and emotional cycles. You can recognize both linear productivity and intuitive renewal and intuition within yourself, within what you do in your everyday life. It's important to look and see how you can go about living in tune with the natural flow of things instead of forcing everything into rigid structures. So, with that, I say, next time you flip your calendar to a new month, just remember this may be how the world does it, but there is a more interconnected way. Begin to create your own idea of what your life could be, a life of more intuitive flow, less structure, more of a cyclical and iterative process for how you do things. You do not have to fall in line with the status quo. If you want assistance trying to figure out what your life can look like and how it could be more aligned with the earth and how time works for you, go ahead and click that link and set up a one-on-one with me, and let's get started to helping you create a more aligned life. Please share your ideas and this post with others. That's one thing we need to do more. Be in discussion with each other. Think critically out loud. My YouTube channel holds the visual equivalent of this content. I make more engaging videos on there. Would you switch to a lunisolar system if you could? How do you think it could help you live a more interconnected and aligned life? Let us all know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.